Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Ramsey Dewey and welcome to Q&A with the coach. Nah, I'm just kidding, I'm not Ramsey Dewey. But Ramsey Dewey did do a video replying to one of my emails, or at least based on the email I sent him. And I did also do this video not long back, about 20-30 minutes ago, and forgot to put my microphone on. So this is just a repeat for myself, which I actually went on a few tangents there, so maybe I've sharpened things up. Or maybe not. Who knows? I actually just went into the kitchen, boiled another cup of tea, rethought things, and then came back to re-record things, and now I've got my dog all around me. Anyway, I don't really do these kind of videos very often. I used to do them, but I realised very quickly that I just don't have the screen presence or charisma really for this kind of stuff. But this is a special one, so I'm just going to go for it because I sent an email to Ramsey Deweys just around Christmas time, and you also have to forgive me if I'm doing this all the time because I'm got a bit of a cough and a bit of cold. Hence the tea. So I sent him this email around Christmas time, just to get something off my chest really. About Street Fighters and the romanticised look of Street Fighters. Now, for context, 2 minutes, let my dog out because he's clawing his way around my room. So, for context, I sent Ramsey this email regarding street fights and the romanticised view we have of Street Fighters. And it all comes from years ago. I was training for a fight in my garden. That's all British I am, garden. So I'm on my punch bag in back garden. I did a few videos of that as well, to be quite honest. You can see it stayed in my garden back then. Either way, I'm doing a bit of bag work, punching and kicking, getting ready for this fight. My brother turns up. He comes down just to visit really. And he's seen me doing the punching and kicking and all the martial arts stuff I do, and he's like, my brother, by the way, he's been in and out of jail a few times. He's not to be proud of, but he is that kind of fella. You know, I grew up in a rough council estate. He's just that type. So he's just kind of laughing at him, going, Steve, you know that stuff doesn't work in the street. It's all hokey pokey stuff, you know. The typical for the street type language you hear. So I thought, alright, you know what, bugger it, I'll humour the fella. So I've got a couple spare gum shields, as I think most people have. Apparently Ramsey's got boxes of them from his video. You throw it in a kettle, throw a kettle on, put it in a bowl, warm it up, you got a gum shield ready for someone. So he threw that on, we got him one sorted. And then I've got some spare gloves about, because who hasn't? It's the thing that when you do like multiple martial arts, you've just got gloves galore. In fact, I've had to get rid of some of them. So I got him some 16-ounce gloves. In fact, I think I even gave him 12 ounces just to give him a fairer chance. I threw mine on, went in back garden, got the camera set up, so I thought this is going to be fun for prosperity. And we had a bit of a muck about in front garden, having a bit of a sparring match. Now, I didn't go at him and start breaking his jaw off, really giving him some proper whacks. To be quite honest, I just kind of like punched at his gloves a bit. Gave him some fast combos at his gloves. Not stuff that's not going to really hit or hurt. Didn't really aim for him. Threw a few like kicks that quite slow and sort of like landed about here. And some of them were out of range. So I could just throw a nice cool spin kick. It looked cool, but it's not going to hurt him. I'm not a bully, lads. Even though he's my brother, I could probably get away with doing a little bit more. I'm not going to do that. I would just kind of try and prove a point of how matched you'd actually be in such a situation, because end of the day, I trained, back in them days, I was training 6 days a week. Getting up at first thing in the morning, doing my strength and conditioning, doing a full 10-hour job, then coming back and then in the MMA gym and in the kickboxing gym, just training, drilling, sparring, getting back, eating chicken, then bedtime, ready for next. So it's not comparable really, they're different skill, but I just want to show him that anyway. I treat him like someone who was brand new to sparring, so I didn't go full on with him. I proved the point anyway. Then I threw the video up. I took it down because I'm a bit an asshole, but most of the stuff I got was, he doesn't look like a street fighter. Because that was the title of the video was martial artist sparring with street fighter. And I go, he doesn't look like a street fighter. Look at him, he's out of shape. He's timid. He's gassed immediately. And that's what I got me thinking, and he's been in head for a long while before I've sent it to Ramsey, because Ramsey's far more charismatic than me and better at getting the point across. My question was to these people was, what do you think a street fighter looks like? What do you think one looks like? And I think in my head, I know what they think one looks like. They think one looks like Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice is the exception to the rule, and even he had boxing training behind him. You know, he didn't just start going at it, he had some training behind him, right? There is no, I mean, it's out of shape. He gassed immediately. Do you think there's a special club that street fighters go to, like Fight Club, where they learn and they get in shape and they do some like strength and conditioning? You know, they've got like a special workout for it. And if you're doing that, you're just going to MMA you, in which case you should know better. But most MMA fighters don't tend to get in street fights. Not saying all don't, but most of them know enough about violence to know they shouldn't be. I'm going to try and turn this, because I can see me on my little audio input thing, it's spiking. I'm on the OBS thing. Again, I'm not used to doing stuff like this. Pardon me. So anyway, where Ramsey puts this video up. He puts this video up and he more or less says exactly what I've just said, making this first part more or less redundant. Right? So basically going on about, do we romanticize street fighters? And the answer is yeah, we do. We kind of see them as like these the ultimate badass of the street, sort of like, I think someone actually put it in the comments to perfectly, pardon me again, sum it up as we see him as like the man with no name, like the Ronin. Yeah, we've got this like idea, because it sounds cool. Street Fighter sounds cool, you know. It's got a cool sound to it, doesn't it? Street Fighter. It's got like an image in your head. Think about Street Fighter. Think in your head what image it fetches you. You're either thinking Ryu and Ken, or you're thinking some like guy who's just the local street tough. Yeah. Really, we should just rename it Violent Prick. Not Street Fighter, it's just a violent prick. So, yeah. Anyway, the reason I'm actually doing this video is just in response to someone's like, how we interpreted all this. So I'm going to fetch it up on here. I've reread this that many bloody times. Oh, pardon me. Again, the cold. And also me being crap at these camera things. So we fetch it up on here. What's his name? His name's Brian FXCK10, which I can imagine, make your own interpretation of what that means. He says, yes, it's dumb getting in street fights. He didn't say getting in street fights, I'm just adding that to it. Yes, it's dumb, but there's an aspect of honour that you're ignoring here. No, you're not. Not just self-defence, but defending others from bullies like Tank Abbott. Said he would look out for bullies to beat up, and to him that was the honourable thing to do. I'm not condoning it, just food for thought. Alright. Okay. First of all, no, there's no honour to all this. This is like, you watch too much TV. You read too many comic books, which consider his answers further down the line, even like, promote that even more, but yeah. There's no honour to it. There's no honourable street altercations. Honour. Do you know how more street fights tend to happen? It's often in a pub. Someone has spilt someone's drink, other person don't want to back down because he's a prick, and they end up scrapping over it because they can't just solve the differences by going, oh crap mate, sorry, I've done another one. Where's the honour in that? The honourable thing where the just go, oh, my fault mate, yeah, I'll what you drinking? That's honour. No. Oh, somebody hold me back. That's another thing about street fights is most of them it's just posturing. By the time it gets to a street fight, neither one of them want to be in the street fight. They're waiting for the mate to pull them off. But the other thing about Tank Abbott, I'm going to say this, right, and maybe Tank will see this. This is still going, Tank. I don't know. And call me wrong on it, and maybe 20 of his mates who personally knew will call me wrong on this, but I'm going to say bullshit. Pardon me. I'm going to say complete bullshit. No, I don't believe him. I believe if you got video evidence of it, I probably won't believe it. Right. I am not wearing, right, that Tank Abbott, on his evenings, right, quiet at home, he just thought, you know what, love, put the dinner down on slow, I'm going to nip out now, and I'm going to fight crime like I'm Batman. I'm going to just roam my local streets beating bullies up. Because that's what I do, because I'm Tank Abbott. I am hard as hell, and I'm going to walk the streets and do the honourable thing and beat up bullies. No, he bloody hell didn't. I'm sorry, but he didn't. He might have said that, right? Because of the early days of the UFC when Tank Abbott was about. And you could say dumb stuff like that, nobody would call you on it. But no, I don't buy it. I don't see him getting up, finishing his cup of tea or whatever they were drinking, coming out the door and going, right, time to patrol my local area and go beat people up. And even if it did do that, right, that's not a nice thing to do. I'm sorry, but I went round fighting and beating bullies. How do you know? How do you know they were bullies? You could have just come up on two people having a bit of a disagreement and you've just jumped in and basically just gone on the person who on the losing end of it. You've got no context for what's happening. That's why people aren't supposed to like join vigilante cults and start taking the law into their own hands. You don't have the context behind it all, or very rarely do. So that's not the honourable thing to do. All you're doing there is, right, in my eyes anyway, and I think in most people's eyes, is you're looking for an outlet for your own violence and trying to justify it. That's all you're doing. If you go into an area, right, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, right, so I'm going to just drop onto another comment he said, which will back up kind of like what I'm about to say here, but let's go for it. So, Ramsey here says, there is no honour in street fighting. There's no honour in looking for an excuse to beat people up by convincing yourself that they're the bad guys. Correct. I'm 100% for what Ramsey's saying here, and that's more or less what I'm saying. So, it goes further down, and I'm more or less like, mate, what you do? You're doing exactly what I ranted against, but whatever. So, he says to Ramsey, so if you see a man beating up a woman, or robbing a child or elderly person, you won't do anything physically. That's cowardly and disappointing to hear from a long-time subscriber. And he says to me, I'm not romanticising it. I said, I don't condone it, but there are exceptions to the rules, and that's why we train in the first place. Alright. Oh, God. That is the biggest leap I've seen in a long while. That's a fairly big leap. Don't get in street fights. It's dumb. Street fighters are overly romanticised into being these cool warriors when really they're just violent idiots. And when we sit around and say just looking to get into fights is stupid, the interpretation is, oh, so if you see someone getting mugged, it's not okay to, step in on that altercation. That's such a big leap. Listen, right. If you're walking the streets, right, at night, minding your own damn business, and you come across a scenario like that where a 200-pound man's kicking it up on a 80-pound woman. I don't know pounds. In England we tend to use kilogram more than all else. So 90-kilogram blokes beating up a 60-kilogram lass, right? Then by all means jump in. No one's gonna judge you. No one. That's not what we're saying. Right? That's not the honour in street fighting. That's just self-defence. The difference between coming across a situation like this, yeah, and actually just going out your way to find them is, at that point, it's not self-defence, mate. You're instigating it. Yeah? There's no honourable in that, in going about and instigating violence. Because, as I said earlier, with the Tank Abbott thing is, which, again, I don't believe he did. I think he just said that to sound cool. But if you're going out your way to instigate this stuff, then you and it's also the reason why we tend to go against being like vigilantism, is you could be on the wrong end of the stick. Yeah, you might come across a scenario of violence or a bad argument going off, and you might take the wrong side because how you've interpreted it, and you might be adding to it. Then yeah, there's no honourable about that. It's just stupid. I don't know. It seems like you just got the wrong end of the stick, my friend, in regards to this, and you've gone down this route which a lot of people seem to go down when it comes to this kind of conversation, which is, hey, don't get in street fights, it's dumb. And how you sort of like to interpret that is, you're telling me I'm not allowed to defend myself. No one's saying you can't defend yourself. No one. That's not dumb. The street fight's dumb, but sometimes we end up in dumb scenarios where we've got to get ourselves out of them. Yeah? No one is saying you cannot defend yourself. Not a single person. Not me, not Ramsey, not anyone else. But the idea that there's honour in street fighting, that's just ridiculous. Honour in what? I think you've watched too many films, my friend. Way too many films. And I'm going to go for another little tangent as well, because I know you're going to come at me with this whole, I've been in 1,000 street fights and my coach was in 1,000, because you say you go training. Oh, my coach was in 1,000 street fights and no, you won't, mate. No, you won't. In fact, the entire list of that YouTube rant was people telling me how many street fights I'd had. Because people completely missed the damn point. A little rant I'm going to just say here, right, is no one believes you. You guys that turn around and say, I knew a guy who's beat thousands of people. No one believes you. You're doing this for yourself. Not a single person reads that and goes, yeah, he knew some bad asses. No, you're just making shit up to sound cool on the internet. Very clearly. You're like that guy who you're having like a group of mates who's constantly talking. Yeah. I were out of a day and there were three of them. And I beat them both all up with these hands, and you're just looking and go, yeah, alright, yeah. Get another drink, pal. No one believes you. Stop talking about how many street fights you had. You don't sound cool, you sound an idiot. I've been in a couple myself, and it's not to brag about, and one time I was arrested for one. And you know what? In fact, I think I wouldn't even consider it a street fight, more self-defence, but let's say for this occasion, right? Ramsey mentioned it at the beginning of his video, because I fetched it up in the email. And this is something to go out to people who talk about self-defence a lot as well. About there's no rules in a street fight, go for the nose, snap the necks, snap the jaws. I don't think anyone who promotes that crap has ever been arrested for that crap. And what I mean is, I went a scenario a few years back at Christmas time where a family member went on a bit drunk and they went on a bit of a... They got violent anyway with my niece, right? So I stepped in. All I did was keep the distance between the two. They were hitting with a stick. I just kind of like blocked it. I had a big thick coat on, so it kind of took the weather out of it, and just kept him at bay. I think I gave maybe one shove just to keep him off. That were about it, right? But we get out of that situation, go home. 20 minutes later, police are at my door. I get arrested because at that point, it's just assault. Self-defense is a legal defense. At this point, you've just committed assault. You're going to defend that with self-defense. But I get pulled into a cell. I get all my fingerprints taken, all that stuff. Get put in a cell while they gather evidence, witness statements while you're laid there. Look at the top, counting the tiles in the prison cell, and then about an hour or so later, the police come, take me out of the prison cell, fetch me to a interview room, and everything I did, every action I took, I had to justify to the police officers who arrested me. So I got in the way, right? Why? You push someone, why? Could you have done something else? You get grilled on it, right? So when people are talking about, rag his eyes out, like, yeah, alright then, pal, get ready to try and justify that to the police officer, right? Because I guarantee you that'll be a fun conversation to have. You know, you can't just turn around to a cop and go, well, what happened? Oh, well, you know, he came up, he spilt my drink, he got in my face, so I just plucked an eye out. Like Pi May out of bloody Kill Bill. Alright, pal. Well, guess what? I don't think you're going home tonight. We're going to have you for attempted murder. You know, this whole, go rip the balls off and stamp the groin 6 times. The police are going to want you to justify that, mate, so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind whenever you do any sort of self-defense crap and you're talking about kicking balls and ragging eyes out and snapping jaws. Everything you do, the police want to know about it, and they will ask you. You will be interviewed, and if you haven't got the right answers, you'll go in jail, my friend. That's why street fights are stupid. Don't get in them. Avoid them at all cost. And you know, this wasn't even meant to be a Street Fighters are stupid rant. These were meant to be Street Fighters are romanticized. But because the internet's got no level of self-awareness, that's where it turns. Anyway, I think I've gone on this rant for far too long. Probably longer than the video itself. And I don't even know if I kept to the points, but in either case, mate, chill out. No one is saying you can't defend yourself. All we're saying is street fighters are romanticised, and no, there's no bloody honour in being a street fighter. There's no honour in it. These aren't honourable people. These are pissheads most of the time, or very violent people that just aren't able to communicate properly, or communicate without violence, or solve their grievances without hitting someone. Yeah? Doesn't make them tough guys. It doesn't make them honourable. It doesn't make them, you know, the samurai of the street. It just makes them assholes. Anyway, I'm Stephen Skelly and I'm signing.